to climb out to the furthermost point of the harbor and watch the ship sail majestically into port. A large harbor is an exciting place as the huge ships come and go with their cargoes from foreign lands. From the Orient, they bring such things as coconut, tea, rattan furniture, and Japanese toys. And today, a ship of wild animals will arrive. Trains are on hand at the docks to carry the cargo to inland points. Here, a Matson Line boat is loading products from the southwest for a shipment to Honolulu. They buy the kinds of things an island country needs for its homes, farms, and businesses. The longshoremen are loading the ship in all 5 hatches at the same time. In the front hatch, lumber, and the next hatch, canned goods like Crisco. The hatches are the openings in the docks, down which the cargo is loaded. It has been raining, and the hatch covers are still in place. A Pinkerton guard stands at the gangplank and will not let anyone board the ship without permission. Bob is lucky because Mr. Turner, the warehouse manager, is a friend of his and has promised to take him on board to see the loading. Men at sea take pride in their ship and keep it spotlessly clean. The size of a ship is generally told by tons. This is a fine, large freighter, and when loaded would weigh 14,000 tons. From the bridge deck, they have a fine view of the loading. Until loading time, the cargo is stored in warehouses for protection against fire, theft, and bad weather. Small jitneys or lift trucks haul the loads from the warehouse and place them in front of the hatch where they are to be loaded. Mr. Turner explains to Bob that when a country can raise more crops or manufacture more products than it needs, it sends these things to other countries. When a country sends things to other countries, it is exporting. In return, it buys from the other countries the things those countries can produce best. And now it's lunchtime and this shift of workmen stop to eat. Sometimes 3 different shifts of longshoremen work loading a single ship, and loading continues all night. This ship will return from Honolulu with a load of sugar and pineapple. Steamship companies hire Pinkerton guards to protect their ships and docks. Sometimes 10 or more men will be required to guard a ship that is loading valuable cargo. Bob thanks Mr. Turner and the guard, and with a last look at the beautiful ship, makes his way carefully across the busy pier. It is expensive for the steamship company to keep a freighter at dock, and so the loading is done as quickly as possible. Further down the dock, piles of rock salt are stored temporarily, waiting shipment to Japan. Trains brought the salt from the rock salt mines, and the government bought the salt for shipment to Japan. The Japanese use a lot of salt for curing and pickling their fish, and they also refine it for table salt. The tractor shovels, called skipjacks, scoop up the salt, and the trucks carry the salt to the ship to be loaded. Bob asks if he can take some home to show his family. He thanks the men and goes on his way. Further down the dock, the President Grant lies at anchor. She just arrived from the Orient with an exciting cargo of wild animals. In fact, the first wild animals that have been imported from Siam in 8 years. Bob admires the beautiful sweep of the bow of the ship. She is about 500 feet long and 70 feet wide. The President boats belong to the American President Line. Every 2 weeks, ships from this line leave for a trip around the world. They carry both freight and passengers. Mr. Chapman shows Bob the list of animals that are due to arrive. 2,500 animals, birds, and snakes from Siam. Mr. Chapman is a checker for the steamship company and keeps track of each load of animals to be sure the correct number arrive. A crate of honey bears. The bears are tame, and Mr. Chapman plays with them through the bars. Honey bears come from Asia and Australia. Ocean trips are hard on animals as they get sick at sea. On this trip, they lost 20 monkeys, 6 apes, and 100 birds, and 1 elephant died of pneumonia. Bob asks who bought the animals. Well, some will go to zoos, some to circuses, and some to the companies that buy and sell wild animals. Chico was the pet of the ship and attached herself to one of the ship's officers. She likes to cuddle up close and be petted. Chico is almost human. She is used to hanging from the trees by her arms, but she also walks upright like a man. Here, Chico. My Bob would like to have a pet like Chico. The steamship company felt that people would enjoy seeing them unload the animals, so they invited important people to be their guests and planned a celebration. In this way, they advertised their ships. The guests crowd around the hatch and watch the men try to make the elephants walk into the unloading crates. Bob thinks this is a lot of fun. This way, Sambo. In you go. Now fast, close the door. And up comes Sambo to get his first view of this country. Cameras flash, and the guests walk over to the rail to see Sambo land gently on the dock. The steamship company has invited Sabu, the elephant boy, and 2 actresses to welcome the elephants. It's all fun and will mean publicity for the steamship company. All the newspapers have sent reporters, for this event is unusual and funny and will have news value. These animals are valuable. In fact, this boatload of animals is worth $35,000. And now Timbuktu is coaxed into the stall. He isn't as nervous as Sambo, and up he comes. Timbuktu carries his trunk with him when traveling. He is a valuable elephant and will sell for $4,000. Timbuktu comes peacefully out of his stall to take a look at his new American friends. Why, it wasn't so bad after all. On the warehouse balcony, a class of school children watched the unloading. Their teacher thought this would be a valuable lesson on harbors and the handling of cargo. Another elephant, Jumbo, swings down in a net sack, and is he annoyed. Several men trained to care for animals were on the 2 weeks voyage to help take care of them. The elephants seem relieved to have their feet on solid ground and are glad to pose with Sabu and the actresses for the photographers. The newspaper men quickly take their pictures. Each man tries to get the best story for his paper. Bob is having the time of his life, but he also enjoys the everyday things that happen around the harbor. The fact that these freighters carry their cargo to and from the furthest corners of the world is exciting to Bob. President Grant will return to China with a load of cotton and other American products that China needs. The longshoremen unload the cotton onto the warehouse trucks or jitneys. In China, they will make the cotton into cloth sheets and clothes. American tourists may buy Chinese kimonos or dolls and bring them back to the United States. Thus, the finished products made from this cotton may come back to the United States. Bob asks for a sample of the raw cotton to show his family. The men like Bob because he asks intelligent questions and always wants to learn more. Today, Bob has learned a lot about how goods are shipped to foreign lands. He knows about exports and imports and how each country raises the things it can raise best and cheapest. Now it's time to go home. Bob whistles, and out comes the entire family to hear the news. They think Bob was very lucky to visit the wild animal ship. Bob's pockets have many treasures. Look, Holly, they were sending cotton like this to China. It is in its rough state, just the way it was picked from the plant. This port ships cotton grown in California and Arizona, and they even send it here from northern Mexico to be shipped to the Orient. And look, Holly, I picked the salt up on the dock. It is rough like this before it goes through a plant and is refined for the table. Holly thinks everything Brother Bob does is just about right. And Mother, the man said I could come again. May I go next Saturday? Well, goodbye, Bob. And happy memories of monkeys, bears, elephants, Chinese doll dresses, rice, and everything nice.